Welcome. Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. This is New Year's Eve, right? I want to bring the closure of the Sean Combs series and the lawsuits and everything that's going on with him before we go into 2024. I'm closing it out with him to just say we're not going to take this particular case any further. This will be my last series unless something new comes up, right? So let's get started because we're going to be ringing that New Year bell pretty soon. So happy New Year's to you, your family. Blessings to you for 2024. Okay, so we're starting off with an article from Billboard.com. It's dated December 13th, 2023, and it's titled Sean Diddy Combs Hulu reality series no longer in production. Okay, let's get started. Hulu has scrapped a reality show that was to follow Sean Diddy Combs and his family, according to a new report in Rolling Stone. Though it's not clear when Hulu stopped making the show, the report comes after multiple allegations of assault and abuse were lodged against the rapper and entrepreneur over the past month. The project, which reportedly had a working title of Diddy Plus 7, was being produced for Hulu by James Corden's production company, Full Well 73, which also works on The Kardashians. A source with knowledge of the situation tells Billboard the show was in its nascent stages and is not currently in production. Combs has been sued for assault by a total of 4 women, including his longtime romantic partner, R&B singer Cassie, who accused him of R and physical abuse, among other allegations. Though that case settled the day after it was filed, Combs was subsequently sued by 3 more women, all Jane Does. Well, we know there were 2 Jane Does and then Joy Dickerson, okay, who say the hip hop mogul assaulted them. In the most recent case filed, the woman says she was trafficked and gang R'd by Combs, former Bad Boy Records president Harvey Pierre, and another man, and he was unnamed, in 2003 when she was 17. A separate case over that alleged incident was filed against Pierre and Bad Boy alleging assault. Combs has strongly denied all of the allegations. On December 6, he released a public statement that said, in part, sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. In the aftermath of the allegations, Combs stepped down from his role as chairman and Black Music TV company Revolt on November 28th. From his role as chairman at Black Music TV company Revolt on November 28th. The company simultaneously released a statement saying that while Combs had previously no operational or day-to-day role in the business, this decision helps ensure that Revolt remains steadfastly focused on our mission to create meaningful content for the culture and amplify the voices of all Black people throughout this country and the African diaspora. According to Rolling Stone, a total of 23 brands have severed ties with Combs' e-commerce marketplace Empower Global, which officially launched in July since the allegations came out. The outlet also reports that in the wake of the lawsuits, liquor company, I'm trying to pronounce it, is it Diageo? I'm not sure, with which company has been embroiled in a bitter legal battle over his De Leon tequila brand for months, filed a request after asking a judge to deny Combs' request to control a $15 million marketing budget for De Leon, which would entail his image appearing in new ads for the spirit. So I didn't know his connection to this liquor company, De Leon. However, I did know about Ciroc. I, again, do not follow Mr. Combs. I didn't know about his e-commerce business, Empower Global, that platform where it was a platform for African American or Black business owners to sell things online. I didn't know about that either because I don't follow Mr. Combs. Um, Combs released a new album, the Love album, Off the Grid in September via his Love Records imprint. And I believe that has a connection with Motown. So he just released the album 3 months ago. He's moving forward with his life, with his businesses, his business ventures. Although he has some severed relationships, he's still moving forward. Um, if you or someone you know has experienced S violence and needs support and or resources, reach out to RAINN and the National S Assault Hotline, 1-800-656-HOPE for free confidential help 24/7. So I usually have that banner running, but I'm not going to go over any of the allegations and the lawsuits specifically. Today, I'm here and I really want to discuss what is next. After all of this has come out, all of these details, the lawsuits and other people coming out with these various allegations that are similar involving assault, torture, are what does this all mean for Mr. Combs? So as I went through, and there were various parts to just go through the Cassie lawsuit, I started to notice the allegations that were really being presented, criminal allegations. And I thought to myself, this lawsuit really lay a foundation for law enforcement to start to investigate Mr. Combs. And the first thing I thought was, well, because he has a residence here and property here and crimes occur throughout various states, allegedly California, New York, Florida, and possibly outside of the United States, I thought about the bigger picture. Now you can be charged at a state level, and then you can have the same or very similar charges on a federal level. So the easiest thing for me was to look at this from a federal level, a federal investigation that would involve more than likely the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So one of my questions, and I put this actually on the Hidden Horror Facebook page so you can read it. I'll try to bring it in closer. I'm not sure how much you can see. Let me bring it back over here. So. Okay. But one of my first questions when I was thinking about putting this together and kind of writing it up was, what are the possible things that we could cover as far as crimes? So most of the crimes that I looked at that were federal, they would fall primarily under Title 18 and Title 26 of the United States Code. That is a code for criminal procedure and criminal charges. So Title 18 was the main code that I looked at, okay? And you can look it up for yourself. I want to tell you exactly what Title 18 is, okay? So let's do that. Okay, now this is all found very detailed on the Hidden Horror Facebook page. So please refer to that. I'm going to try to detail it to you, but you can also refer to it. Title 18 of the United States Code is the main criminal code of the federal government of the United States. The title deals with federal crimes and criminal procedure. Federal crimes refer specifically to offenses that violate U.S. federal laws. They are investigated by federal law enforcement and prosecuted by United States attorneys in federal courts with federal judges. While many of these offenses are distinctive to the federal system, they also include crimes that would otherwise fall under state or local jurisdictions had they not occurred on U.S. federal property or on an Indian reservation. So that means that, for example, federally, Mr. Combs could be charged, for example, with conspiracy, but there's likely a conspiracy charge also at the state level. But again, I don't want to look at the law state by state because every state has different laws. They have different statute of limitations. It would be very, very difficult to try to look at New York, for example, then Florida, then California, whereas I'm going to look at this overall federal criminal charges only, okay? So I just want you to understand that. Now, I want to break something down so we can have an understanding. You need to know that all of this has come about. Now, most of these allegations have passed what's called the statute of limitations. So let me explain to you what the statute of limitations is. It's a law that sets the maximum amount of time that parties involved in a dispute have to initiate legal proceedings from the date of an alleged offense, whether that offense was civil or criminal. So for an example, you can have a statute of limitations for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, or no time. For example, in the case of murder or homicide, most states and federally, you're not going to have a limit. There will be no statute of limitations, meaning that if someone is unalive 50 years ago, 70 years ago, and they're still pursuing justice to find out who is the assailant, there's no limit. There's no time limit. But many crimes have time limits. For example, you may have a bribery charge that may be 1 year. You may have a charge of some type of theft that may be 1 year. So it will not be unlimited. And the reason for that is because you still want to prosecute someone fairly and still have evidence that's current, witnesses. It depends on the severity of the crime. If the crime is more severe, like homicide, you're going to have more time. So let's just talk about now the allegations that have been alleged in the 4 different lawsuits, right? So we have Cassie Ventura's lawsuit or Casaundra Ventura's lawsuit. Okay, we have Joy Dickerson's lawsuit. And then we have 2 Jane Doe's. We have the Jane Doe lawsuit that alleged that something happened back in the 90s that was out of New York. And then we have the other older lawsuit from the 17-year-old high school woman that was from the city of Detroit in Michigan, right? So we have, those are the 4 lawsuits. Now, in all 4 lawsuits, we have to consider what is the statute of limitations. What type of charges do we have? And once we figure out those charges, what would be the statute of limitations? Now, we know for a fact that Cassie Ventura, she is more of a current potential criminal case because their relationship ended approximately, and I don't want to be very specific about it, but just estimate 2016. So that's approximately 7 years ago. But the other allegations are about, you have to look at it and be fair, 20 to 30 years ago, right? So we know that witnesses might be hard to find, evidence, photographs, video, documents, trying to obtain a police report, for an example, trying to obtain some video unless you saved it some kind of way. it would be a lot harder, right? So the strongest case, the most recent case, and maybe the most documented case may be Mrs. Ventura's case. So one may want to consider these two Jane Does and Joy Dickerson as possible witnesses to show a repeat behavior, a repeat pattern of behavior. For example, you have very similar allegations. You have battery, you have the S assault or R, you have the coercion, the threats, you have uh, uh, the possible S trafficking would be another one. Those are really the core. So you can show a pattern of similar behavior with this happening over and over again with multiple alleged victims. Okay, so we have that thought out of the way. We have 4 individual lawsuits demonstrating similar charges: the X trafficking, the assault, the battery, the R. Um, so we're going to set that thought to the side for a second. So now, with those known charges, let's think about what is the statute of limitations. Remember, Mrs. Ventura's case is the most recent. So let's see what the statute of limitations would be. Now, federally, not statewide, remember, we're still thinking federally. Statute of limitations for federal offenses. For federal offenses, most crimes carry a 5-year statute of limitations on criminal legal proceedings, with a few exceptions. There is no time limit on capital offenses, terrorism-related offenses that result in death or serious injury, and designated federal child abduction and S offenses. 20 years for art theft, 10 years for arson, certain crimes against financial institutions, certain immigration offenses, and 8 years for non-violent terrorism offenses. Okay, so let's kind of clean up all of that and let's get to the meat and potatoes. What they're saying is primarily for federal charges, there's going to be a 5-year limit statute of limitations to charge someone. Just overall, about 5 years. Now we know the 2 Jane Doe cases and the Joy Dickerson case is well beyond that. However, it reads, there is no time limit on S offenses. So now we can bring these cases back forward because, again, they all allege S offenses. Now let's talk about this for 1 second. Okay. And I want to get into detail just a tiny bit, okay, with some words. Now, I did a little chart because this helps to see the layout of my thoughts. Now, again, we're looking at primarily Title 18 from the United States Code for federal criminal charges. So this would be the United States of America versus Sean Combs, and Sean Combs would be the defendant, and the United States of America would be the plaintiff. So let me give you the legal breakdown for that, because I want you to follow everything that I'm saying. So what it means to be a plaintiff. A plaintiff is the party who brings a civil suit in a court of law. So in this case, it would be the United States of America because it's a federal charge. If it was a state charge, it would be, for example, the state of New York, the state of California, the state of Florida, representing the people. Okay, so that is the plaintiff. And then the defendant would be Sean Combs. The defendant is the person sued in a civil proceeding or accused in a criminal proceeding. Now, I want to address something. In those 4 lawsuits, parts of the allegations involve referring to others that were involved. Okay, so taking at a whole, all of the 4 lawsuits, the people that I noticed were highlighted that I would consider to be a co-defendant, just focusing on these 4 lawsuits, would be Aaron Hall. Aaron Hall is a music artist. Harvey Pierre was an executive at one point with one of the, I think it was Bad Boy Entertainment, but it's not so important. But it is because it does demonstrate relationships. So it is, but not for what I'm saying right now. And then there was an unnamed individual in the case of the 17-year-old that was flown to New York allegedly. There was a third party. It was allegedly an unnamed individual, Harvey Pierre, and Sean Combs involved. These three other people, they would be considered co-defendants, right? Let me tell you what a co-defendant is. A co-defendant is one of two or more defendants sued in the same litigation or charged with the same crime. So, for example, in the case with the 17-year-old in that lawsuit, that individual alleges that Harvey Pierre and an unnamed individual was involved and also committed the S assault. Okay. Now, in the case of the lawsuit involving the woman from New York, she's alleging that Sean Combs and Aaron Hall were involved in the S assault. Okay. So that's how it makes them co-defendants. So I'm just showing you, primarily we're focusing on Sean Combs, but potentially there could be co-defendants. Okay, these are actors that are also involved, and they're going to be charged with the same crimes. For example, the S assault, battery, possibly the S trafficking. All of that, okay? So I just want you to follow along with me. So we have all of our legal terms and we're following along with the same information. Now I want to explain in those four lawsuits, the people that I'm referring to that this happened to, they are called victims. So for example, Casaundra Ventura or Casaundra Ventura would be a victim. Joy Dickerson would be a victim. The unnamed woman that has the attorney Tyrone Blackburn, she would be a victim. The unnamed woman that has attorney Douglas Wigger, I believe Douglas Wigger is the same attorney of Cassie Ventura. She would be a victim. So these are going to be the alleged victims. And let me tell you what the victim is. Okay? So we all have the same understanding. It's a person that's harmed by a crime, tort, or something other that happened to them that's wrong. That makes them victims. So you have the United States of America versus Sean Combs in a federal case. You have the victims as potential witnesses, Casaundra Ventura, Joy Dickerson, and the two unnamed women. And then you have what would be considered co-defendants, Aaron Hall, Harvey Pierre, and the unnamed individual that was involved in the gang R, okay, S assault, okay? Now, we have to talk about potential accomplices, right? And I want to be detailed and explain to you why we have to talk about accomplices. Accomplices are a person who is in any way concerned with another in the commission of a crime, whether as a principal in the first or second degree or as an accessory. A person who knowingly, voluntarily, and intentionally unites with the principal offender in committing a crime and thereby becomes punishable for it. Now, I can specifically say that we have a lot of accomplices in these four lawsuits. Remember, the primary focus is Sean Combs, and then we have co-defendants, but we also have what's called an accomplice. The accomplice is the person that's actually involved voluntarily, making sure that things happen. Now, in these lawsuits, we know that Harvey Pierre is a co-defendant, but he would also kind of be considered an accomplice as well because of the allegations, okay? We have in the lawsuit we'll go with Casaundra Ventura because it was so detailed. We have in her 35-page lawsuit various accomplices. These accomplices would include primarily people from the record label. And when I say people, I really mean employees from the record label that were involved allegedly. This would include Mr. Sean Combs' personal assistants and staff and management team that allegedly knew what was happening, would get involved, would make the plans, would do the scheduling. And allegedly, you have people from the industry where some of this allegations happen at actual business sites. And then we also have some of Mr. Combs's personal security staff. They were involved. It was allegations that were made that they were, in Mrs. Ventura's case, they would get her, they would speak to her, they would try to bring her back to him, they would go and get her. At one point, they took her allegedly from a birthday party. They were heavily involved and they have knowledge. And sometimes an accomplice may not be charged, they may be turned into a witness. They may be asked to testify to what they know, what they saw, if they have any documentation or evidence also. So we have numerous accomplices. So we have the record label employees, the industry staff, the personal assistants, the management team, and the security guards. And I'm only referring to Mr. Sean Combs here. Okay? So let's keep going. Now, let's talk about possible offenses that violate U.S. federal law. And I made an extensive list of possible crimes. Abusive S contact, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, aggravated S abuse, coercion, conspiracy, continuing criminal enterprise, domestic violence, forcible R, sexual abuse, S assault, S battery, S exploitation, S trafficking, torture, video voyeurism, and wire fraud. Now, I know a lot of people don't understand some of these charges. The main two charges that I think people may not understand why they're in there is probably conspiracy and the wire fraud. And I want to go over some of the charges briefly, okay? Because I want you to have some understanding. So, the first charge I want to go over, and I didn't list them all. Let's see. Actually didn't list them. So I'll just talk it through. The only one I actually posted was the trafficking. I guess everything else is more straightforward. So everybody can understand the S charges, right? The battery charges. S is an assault. The battery is a physical attack. And then there's some charges with coercion, that's threats, that's force. The continuing criminal enterprise, I do want to go over that one, and I'm going to have to post that so you have that. Of course, we know what domestic violence is. And then we have the S exploitation, the S trafficking. We know what torture is, you're harming a person. And then we have the video voyeurism. But let me go over the wire fraud and the conspiracy first. Wire fraud is just using some technology so that something happens and passes. Let me pull it up, and I want to explain to you. Sometimes on a federal level, you will charge someone with something that is very, very easy to prove. And the go-to is wire fraud and conspiracy. With conspiracy, you just need 2 or more people conspiring to do something that's illegal. With the wire fraud, you're using technology. It can be a text message, it can be a fax machine, it can be sending something. So let's go over these two. Let's go over wire fraud first. Wire fraud is a type of fraud that involves the use of some form of telecommunications or the internet. This type of crime can make use of any and all forms of electronic media, including telephone or fax machine, email, or social media, or SMS and text messaging. So of course we can realize that even though it says wire fraud, that we all use communications. And this is a very easy charge to get convicted on. So that is wire fraud. Now, what I'm going to do, I want to make sure that that's shared. So I'm going to do it now. Okay, so that's one, that's wire fraud. Now let's go over conspiracy. So some people might not understand why it's so important to be mindful of this conspiracy charge. Let me see if I have it another way. Okay, I have to close some things out. My apologies. I apologize. Sometimes I'm just so busy, I just don't have the time. And you know, you have to do a lot of like research. I thought I had something up. I do have something up about conspiracy. Let me put here. So they're making it very straightforward. Let me click on this. So, all right. If two or more persons conspire either to commit any offense against the United States or to defraud the United States or any agency thereof in any manner or for any purpose, and one or more of such persons do any act to affect the object of the conspiracy, each shall be fined under the title or imprisoned not more than 5 years. But that's against the United States. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a conspiracy charge and how conspiracy works. I'm just trying to get this simple way. I don't want to leave this out because it's like one of the easiest charges. And we see it so much. Okay, I'm gonna have to go with this one. I didn't want to go with this one, but it is pretty much okay. Conspiracy exists when two or more persons join together and form an agreement to violate the law and then act on that agreement. The crime of conspiracy was created to address the inherent dangers posed to society when people come together and join forces to commit criminal acts. An important feature of the conspiracy statute is that it enables the investigator to get beyond the first layer of visible members to find and prosecute the brains behind a criminal scheme or organization. Specific federal anti-conspiracy statutes are found throughout federal law. Okay. I mean, that sums it up, but that's not what I was looking for. But I just want you to know the conspiracy charge is also a very easy one to prove. If you're getting a federal case, you're going to be hit, and it's two or more people, you're going to be hit with a conspiracy charge. And you're going to be hit with wire fraud. Even though you don't think that, those are very easy to prove on the lowest level. Unless they have so many charges, they're just going to drop those easy ones. But people get convicted all the time on the federal level for conspiracy and wire fraud. It's very, very true. So I just wanted to go over that conspiracy charge. I was hoping to find something a little bit easier language-wise, but it's just not popping out. So I'll post it after this video, okay? But let's move on from the conspiracy charge. Let's talk about the continuing criminal enterprise. Okay, because that's another very big one. Okay, okay, okay. That's the sentencing. I thought this was really fitting. It's kind of like the RICO, the racketeering, and this came about, at a time where there were a lot of mob-related crimes, and they were saying, well, this is a continual enterprise, and they could bring all the people in. Well, now the criminal enterprise statute um, is not so much related to that anymore because we don't see that as much. Um, so it's a statute that's directed at any person who occupies a position of organizer. So remember, Sean Combs would be the organizer. He is the executive. He's at the top. I believe Harvey Pierre at one point could also be considered with the same charge. But we're focusing on Sean Combs in this video. So he would be considered the organizer of this criminal enterprise. And they're using that. They're using their position, the business, all of that. And this is why in those allegations, allegedly, they're saying that this happened at the record label. This involved the record label employees, that people saw this. This was a normal environment. This was something that happened regularly. This was overlooked because they created this environment, this criminal enterprise, and people knew, hey, you overlook it. You don't say anything. You don't do anything. So you have your employees, record label employees, industry staff, personal assistants, management team, security guards, all these people involved in this criminal enterprise, all these legal things happening, everybody's involved. And that's what makes it a continuing criminal enterprise. But let me read that. Okay. The statute is directed at any person who occupies a position of organizer, a supervisory position, or any other position of management in a drug producing and drug distributing enterprise. It provides for one of the most severe penalties of any federal criminal statute currently enforced. Under the Act, convicted offenders must be sentenced to a minimum of 10 years in prison with no possibility of parole. So I didn't know that this was drug related. I might be looking at the wrong. Okay, so this is the one for drug trafficking. No, I just want the criminal enterprise. Yeah, I'm under the wrong statute. I'm under statute 21. Title 21. I'm looking for title 18. Okay, I apologize. That's why it's so important to have it already up. I thought I had it up. Let me see if I can put title 18 in there. Because I believe they have one for drug trafficking and then they have just the regular one. Okay. They call it drug kingpin statute. This is all under Title 21. Okay, I found something under Title 18. Okay, let's see if this will work. Sometimes it's like very hard to get the content that you're looking for. I don't want it for drugs. I want the criminal enterprise statute, but not the drug one. Maybe they only have the criminal enterprise for drug traffickers. Okay, well, I can't find it. I'm only finding under Title 21 for drug traffickers. So we're going to exit out the continuing criminal enterprise. But that would have been a great one. I think it needs to be so not specific because you have people that are using their position to literally involve a whole slew, like I won't talk about another case. We'll just focus on this. I think this would have been a great charge. Continued criminal enterprise, but not related to drugs. Just using your position, employees, and power to have that whole criminal enterprise involved. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, or let me see. Could we have got that under RICO? Let's see. Would the RICO statute would the RICO statute allow that? The Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act is a federal law targeting organized criminal activity and racketeering. RICO enhances existing criminal punishments and creates new causes of action for acts done as a part of an organized criminal enterprise. Maybe RICO is better, okay? And that is under Title 18. RICO is under Title 18, so we'll just amend that and put RICO, okay? Verbally noted. So let me share that because I want to make that correction. You know, we're sticking with laws that are under Title 18 primarily. Possibly find something under Title 26. Okay, my apologies. Okay, let's continue on. So let's move away from RICO for a minute. Um, there was a I don't think we have to talk about the torture, but torture is in Title 18 and it prohibits torture. Now, under Title 18, torture, this is by, let me see, let me just take a look at this real quick. I don't know how I made this mistake. Okay. It prohibits torture committed by public officials under color of law against persons within the public official's custody or control. Okay, so this is not what I'm looking for. So we're going to take torture off. Like, I'm glad I'm going through these. So we're going to take torture off for this. Yeah. Video voyeurism. This was another one. Um, okay. 18 USC Code 1801 is a video voyeurism law that makes it a federal crime to knowingly and intentionally take an image of a private area of someone without their consent and under circumstances in which they have a reasonable expectation of privacy. So, this is another one that could possibly come up. Um, It may have a 5-year statute of limitations, which in all these cases, it would have already passed, including Casaundra Ventura's case. But again, we're learning the law. We're talking about the different federal charges. So we can talk about anything. This is education for all of us, okay? So let's go to another allegation, okay? And let me see if that has a statute of limitations attached. It's not jumping out at me, okay? So I want to go over some of the other alleged crimes, okay? Um, I wish I had kept more of them open. So under Title 18, Section 2906, Criminal coercion is a misdemeanor of the second degree unless the threat is to commit a felony or the intent of the act is felonious, in which cases, I'm sorry, I have to enlarge this. In which cases, uh, a person is guilty of criminal coercion if, with intent unlawfully to restrict freedom of action of or another to the detriment of the other. He threatens to commit any criminal offense, accuse anyone of a criminal offense, expose any secret tending to subject any person to hatred, contempt, or ridicule, or take or withhold action as an official or cause an official to take or withhold action. I think in the Cassie Ventura's case, if there was allegations made that if you don't do something, then I'm going to do this. For example, and allegedly release pictures, release video, have that hanging over somebody's head as a threat and threatening them with that. Um, that's definitely a possible charge. So let me get that. I apologize that I have to do this here, but um, I thought I had took care of it, but I guess it didn't go through. So I just want to make sure. Let me put this down. Okay. I just want to get that so that that's accurately done. Okay. So we can be done with that. Um, let's see. Another charge. Okay. We talked about a lot of these. I have to close them out. I apologize. Um, the one last charge that I want to talk about, it was, and I know I posted this because I saw it. I don't know where the other post went, but it's okay. We getting through it. I have to go before this. It was trafficking related offenses. So let me pull that up. Trafficking related offenses. No person shall be prosecuted, tried, or punished for any non-capital offense or conspiracy to commit a non-capital offense under Section 1581 or 1592 of this title under Section 274A of the Immigration and National Act unless the indictment is filed or the information is instituted not later than 10 years after the commission of the offense. So for the trafficking, it's a 10-year time frame. In the Cassie Ventura case, it would still be available as far as the statute of limitations. And she did allege that she was trafficked. So we got through it all. We got through it all. I just want to make some overall comments. I am concerned about the statute of limitations, not so much for the S offenses because there's no time limit on the federal charges, but some of the other charges, like the conspiracy, the coercion, the video voyeurism, the wire fraud, that's it. Some of those charges may have a 5-year statute of limitations. We'd have to look up every single charge. But I am concerned about the statute of limitations, so that's important. And is Mr. Combs being investigated by federal authorities, federal law enforcement, or state law enforcement for that matter? Many of the crimes are going to fall under state and local jurisdictions as well. So What's going on now? What is the aftermath of all that has come out in the allegations from the four lawsuits? Um, in Mrs. Ventura's lawsuit, she laid out all of the criminal allegations, and she gave a detailed account of what she is alleging happened to her, and then the criminal charges related to each charge. So she did a great job with that on a state level. I see it as being a little bit easier, maybe to prosecute on a federal level because of some of the allegations occurring in multiple states. Um, and now we have four cases, and we have the one in New York, the one from the victim from Michigan, and then some of the allegations happened in different states with Mrs. Ventura. So if they have an interest, and because of the trafficking and the level of the alleged abuse, battery, torture, threats, um, all of that combined and having that pattern with multiple alleged victims, I would see maybe there would be some interest for the federal government to get involved, federal law enforcement to get involved. So we don't know. We don't know what's coming, but I do know, I can say that if some charges come federally, they will have that case airtight. They will be prepared for those charges because they don't just bring any cases. They try to investigate. They try to find details, witnesses. Um, they want to have an airtight case that is undeniable. If they want to arrest you and bring you forth on some criminal charges, they're going to come with U.S. attorneys that know the law. I'm not an attorney. I do not know the law. I'm still gaining knowledge as I go through these individual cases in search for the law, because I don't want to just take something and regurgitate. I'm not a news reporter. I'm not here to just give you the lawsuit. Let's talk about, okay, what is next? What is the possibilities going forward? You know, will there be some type of criminal case against Mr. Combs or the defendants or all of them? Because technically, the civil the civil allegations have laid a foundation for a criminal investigation, in my opinion. Many things that was written in the Casaundra lawsuit, specifically because it was so detailed, and we took a lot of time. We read through the entire lawsuit minus the allegations that were put at the end, maybe the last 5 or 6 pages, just discussing what potential criminal charges could happen. She laid a foundation. She took time to thoroughly, her and her team, her legal defense, they took the time to thoroughly lay out um, not just in the complaint what the allegations were, but also corresponding those allegations with actual criminal charges. So I think that was done to create a path forward for some investigative work. So maybe we will see criminal charges. Maybe the grand jury is happening right now. We just don't know it because, again, these potential accomplices, they may become witnesses where they're not even charged. They did not do the acts, but they assisted. They were there. They were involved voluntarily by way of maybe being an employee, and maybe having a contract, and maybe quitting or leaving because of what was happening. You know, this is a very hostile workplace, allegedly, if this type of activity is going on, this type of violence, assault, or physical abuse. Is a very aggressive kettle to be in, to see that, and maybe you feel you don't have any power, you can't speak up, or maybe some violence is going to happen to you or your family, or maybe it's threats. No. Some people have a lot of power and they have a lot of money to make things happen. There were allegations of other things that I didn't bring up, but clearly people have over the years have passed away with mysterious deaths and different things. Some threatening things have happened, and a lot of things have gone unchecked with no charges, no arrests, and it's very unfortunate. So just going into the new year, I wanted to wrap up the Sean Combs case and kind of get this behind us and we can move forward. And if something else comes up, some new allegations, another lawsuit, um, he's lost a lot business wise. There were different things said just about his career going forward and just opportunities and a lot of things that he was involved in have ended because of these allegations. So I'm not sure what else could come, but we just have to kind of wait and see and kind of watch. So I wanted to wrap his case up and kind of be able to set this to the side and we can go to some of our other cases and get some updates on our other cases. I want to tell you that when I was organizing my office, and I'm getting so close, like I got 3 boxes down to 1 box, which is great. But I still need, I need like a bookcase to kind of stack everything, shelve everything. But I'm clearing it out. So I'll be able to set up some things and get the pictures up and things like that, hopefully soon. But in going through my business stuff and organizing things, I kind of ran across some of my college notes and things from when I was getting my forensic degree. And I want to kind of discuss a little bit more in detail about the Idaho 4 case and kind of refer and go through some of those notes so I can sharpen myself and also bring that as conversation about some of the things that have gone on in the case and some of the evidence and kind of relate it to academia, to make sure that I'm sharp and on top of things because I can talk about it, but I also need to be referring back and, still kind of, quickening myself and staying on top of everything to make sure I'm not missing anything. So I may come with a video about that, just some of the things that I saw in my notes and everything. So I don't know, but I just want to say thank you for a great year, checking out my videos, spending time with me, getting to know me, my mindset. I hope that this year has been great for you and your family. I look forward to continuing similar content on the Hidden Horror platform, which I'm on Twitter. I don't tweet, I just share these videos. And then, of course, the main resource is my Hidden Horror Facebook page. If you have an interest, a passion for forensics, for policing, evidence, technology, things like that, you want to check it out because I try to detail, show, demonstrate a lot of what I'm speaking because just as well, it does not do me any service if I'm not educating the community. This is me doing this. I'm not paid. I have a full career and everything. It has nothing to do. I do it because of the love of evidence, forensics, and just trying to help people. So I encourage you to check out my Facebook. It has everything and more. And also on my YouTube if you want to see the videos as a playlist so you can play them. Part 1, part 2, part 3, and so forth. You will be able to go to the playlist and just watch them all because I did, and I purposely try to stay on task and keep things organized and not convolute Facebook and all of that and try to keep everything in an organized fashion. So it's helpful to you. So thank you for checking out this video. Happy New Year. Blessings to you, your family. Remember, please be safe, be smart, be savvy. Okay? Hidden Horror is here for you. I will see you in 2024. I love you all. God bless you. Be well, all my friends. Thank you. Be well, all my friends. Thank you so much for this wonderful year. And we have a lot to look forward to 2024. I wish you and your family, your friends, a happy new year. Bye, all my friends. Take care.